Prince Harry has such a cheek that he is now piling the pressure on Catherine, the Princess of Wales, to step in and try and save his failing relationship with Prince William, not understanding that it's over, brother. It is gone. Finito. Just accept it. The big revelation from him is that Prince Harry doesn't even have William's phone number anymore. That is, of course, a mortifying revelation for the Duke of Delusion.
Nobody wanted Harry there either, because Harry has completely blotted his copy with that family and the group of family friends, because nobody can trust Harry anymore.
Why would you ever want Harry around when he's going to insist on bringing his wife, who once made you cry, then lied about it to Oprah, and always seems to have varying recollections? Not to mention, you really don't want his wife around who would sell clothing to the effect of what to wear to meet your evil sister-in-law.
They've choked off any information Harry and Meghan had, which is all the currency they had to sell. They have no more royal news to sell, and they're slowly going down the tubes. They've lost everything.
He exploded because obviously his plan, and again, this was the difficult bit, he couldn't understand why he was evicted from that particular.
Catherine was the final one still keeping the door open for Harry. Now that door has reportedly been closed completely. And the situation reportedly left William deeply upset, with Harry no longer even having his brother's phone number at all these days.
William was fuming, but was particularly upset about what Harry said about Kate. He is fiercely protective of her and will find it hard to ever get over it and have a proper relationship with his brother again.
According to Dan Wakeford, who claimed he spoke with sources linked to both sides, Catherine was reportedly the final senior royal still holding on to any remaining hope for Harry. She was viewed as the only person who still believed a path forward could exist. William had already set firm boundaries. Charles was said to be stepping back, but Catherine, as a mother who believed two brothers should maintain some form of relationship, reportedly kept the door slightly open there. Then came what sources describe as the breaking point. Harry's public comments about Charles' cancer reportedly changed everything. After facing her own cancer journey, the stress that came with it, and the long recovery process, Catherine was said to be deeply troubled by the situation. Sources claimed that was the moment she finally threw up her hands and said, "This is on you, Harry." The family member many viewed as the most patient and understanding had reportedly reached her limit. The woman who spent years trying to ease tensions between the brothers was now said to be stepping away from that role completely. And here's the part that has sparked even more talk. According to reports, Harry has been attempting to reach William through indirect channels, with suggestions circulating through sources, friends, and media contacts that Catherine may be the only person capable of getting through to him.
Expert Dan Wakeford says Harry wants a reconciliation. He regrets the things he said in the book, the documentary, and doing that again is off the table. Yeah, right. What's heartbreaking is he kind of has hoped that William would stumble a little and reach out and need him. I don't know if I believe this. He's got no avenue to communicate with him. However, the expert claimed it cannot happen, as Harry reportedly no longer even has William's phone number.
Dan Wakeford's report says it plainly. The only person who has consistently been able to reach William remains Catherine. But according to surrounding discussion of the report, it still remains unclear whether she even wants stepping into that role. Now, as Paula Froelich pointed out, this reportedly remains a familiar pattern. She noted that Harry appeared to use a similar strategy with Charles months earlier.
Same thing he did with King Charles a couple months ago, when he let it be known through a source, wink, friend, wink, that he would be happy to accept an invitation to Sandringham. But of course, he would only go if his wife and kids were there, and that.
Oh, yeah. And if there's full security paid for by people like me.
And if he knew who else was going to be there. So it's the same kind of BS that's happening right now.
According to critics, sources claim whispers were floated suggesting Harry would accept an invitation to Sandringham, but only under strict conditions reportedly right now. Reports and commentary say those conditions included Meghan Markle and the children attending, security arrangements addressed, and other expectations met fully. To observers, it looked like another long wish list rather than a genuine attempt at reconciliation, it seems. Critics also highlight the long history of public disputes involving Catherine herself. After years of interviews, books, media headlines, and competing narratives, They question why she would now be expected to help repair the relationship and ease tensions herself again.
Really the only one who wore the Nazi uniform and made those comments about his fellow soldiers, calling them packy heads and all the stuff that he did. He's actually the only racist in the family. And even that he hasn't taken responsibility for. He blamed that on William and Catherine.
Reports claim the relationship between Harry and William has become so strained that direct communication remains extremely limited now. Some commentators even claim Harry no longer has William's personal phone number, showing just how distant the brothers have reportedly become now. According to palace sources cited in various reports, William was said to be deeply upset by the contents of Spare, especially sections involving Catherine allegedly now. Those sources describe William as fiercely protective of his wife and suggest the comments concerning Catherine left some of the deepest emotional scars. While the book sparked controversy on several fronts, reports indicate references involving Catherine were among the issues William found hardest to move past still. The damage, according to these accounts, has been long-lasting and deeply personal. And this is where the situation becomes even more serious. Some reports claim William believes the years of public conflict, relentless media attention, and ongoing family tensions placed major stress on Catherine during an already challenging period of her life. Whether or not that view is shared by others, sources say it helps explain why reopening old wounds may not be something he is willing to consider anytime soon.
That's the deal. We all know people who have had cancer or who may not be here anymore because of cancer. And we also know their number one enemy is stress.
Yes.
So why would you invite stress again into your life, especially stress that you do not trust, that have proven in the past hyper untrustworthy? And not to mention, why would you ever want Harry around when he's going to insist on bringing his wife, who once made you cry, then lied about it, to Oprah?
Why even reopen door for people who keep breaking your trust repeatedly? That's the question many royal watchers say sits at the center right now, allegedly again. According to reports and commentaries surrounding the family, Catherine is unlikely to involve herself, and supporters argue the reasons go far beyond anything written in a book. Sources and commentators suggest that Catherine's focus is now firmly on her family and protecting her children. From that perspective, this is no longer just about disagreements between adults or repairing damaged relationships. Instead, they argue it is about maintaining stability, privacy, and clear boundaries around George, Charlotte, and Louis. The tensions between Catherine and Meghan Markle have remained a major talking point for years. Conflicting reports emerged about what happened during bridesmaid dress fitting before the wedding, with different versions of events later discussed publicly still today. The dispute became widely known after Meghan Markle's interview with Oprah, where a different account of the incident was presented, keeping the controversy in the spotlight for years afterward. Critics have pointed to several public controversies involving Catherine over years now. Among them were online merchandise references that some people interpreted as targeting Catherine, along with ongoing media narratives keeping tensions in spotlight still today right now. The situation intensified further when accusations involving discussions about Archie were linked to claims generating major backlash and widespread headlines now. According to reports, William viewed many of these developments as deeply damaging and extremely difficult to move past. He is said to regard certain allegations and public attacks as especially serious. Critics also note that in Spare, Harry discussed the controversy surrounding his Nazi costume, with Catherine being mentioned as part of that account, adding yet another layer to the family dispute. Those claims remained part of a published book that was read around the world, keeping the controversy alive for months on end. At the same time, Catherine became the subject of intense online speculation during her cancer treatment, with countless rumors and theories spreading across social media non-stop. The situation drew widespread criticism, as many people felt the constant discussion crossed a clear line and continued far longer than it ever should have. Critics argue that after years of public disputes, competing narratives, accusations, and online attacks, the idea of Catherine stepping in to help repair the relationship now seems highly unlikely. From their perspective, too much damage has already been done, and they question why she would be expected to persuade William to reopen the door after everything that has happened. Paula Froelich raised the question, saying, "Why would Catherine ever want Harry around when he insists on bringing Meghan Markle?" She went on to argue that any future meeting could quickly become complicated if someone felt uncomfortable, misunderstood, or disappointed. In her view, even small tensions could end up creating another round of headlines and controversy. Froelich's argument was that lingering mistrust makes reconciliation extremely difficult. She suggested there is a fear that old disputes, past accusations, and conflicting interpretations of events could resurface if the family spent time together again. As she put it, it will happen again. Catherine knows it. William apparently knows it too. According to critics and commentators, the issue is no longer just keeping distance between them now. They say it is about protecting family privacy and avoiding situations where personal interactions could later become public speculation, media coverage, or renewed controversy again now today. In their view, Catherine has already made her choice, and it centers on maintaining stability and clear boundaries for her family. And for those who see the family rift as far from resolved, they point to events such as Peter Phillips' wedding. Commentators noted that Harry was reportedly not invited, which they see as another sign of how strange certain relationships have become now allegedly. The situation attracted even more attention due to the family ties involved. Peter Phillips has long been part of the royal family's inner circle, and some commentators saw Harry's reported absence from the wedding as another sign of how distant certain relationships have become over the years. However, the controversy did not end there. According to reports discussed in the media, a story circulated claiming Harry intended to skip the wedding due to concerns about press coverage and photographers. Critics quickly pushed back on that narrative, arguing that if he had not received an invitation in the first place, it could hardly be described as a personal decision to stay away. That detail only added another layer of drama to an already headline-grabbing story overall. According to Lady Colin Campbell, who said her sources were present at the wedding, Harry and Meghan Markle reportedly were not a topic of conversation during the event. She claimed that guests were focused on celebrating the occasion itself, rather than discussing ongoing royal family tensions. To some commentators, that suggested not an active feud, but a desire to move attention elsewhere and keep the spotlight on the people getting married. William and Catherine attended the wedding, and reports described the atmosphere as warm and positive. Observers noted that the focus remained firmly on the bride and groom throughout the day. Some royal watchers argued that this may be one reason certain family members were not included, as high-profile appearances can sometimes dominate headlines and shift public attention away from the event itself. Critics have argued that trust remains a major issue in the ongoing dispute. They claim there are concerns that private conversations could eventually become public through interviews, books, documentaries, or media reports. Whether fair or not, those perceptions continue to shape how many people view the situation. Critics claim Harry's standing within certain royal circles has dropped dramatically over the years now. They point to reports that other family members, including Beatrice and Eugenie, were invited to events where Harry was not. To those observers, that comparison speaks volumes about how certain relationships within the family may have shifted, and where Harry is now seen to stand in the broader royal picture. The debate intensified when reports emerged suggesting Harry chose not to attend allegedly. Commentators such as Lady Colin Campbell challenged that narrative, arguing that it was difficult to claim the moral high ground over media dealings while also participating in major public projects and interviews that discussed family matters at length. Critics further point to the Netflix series In Spare, arguing that these projects brought private family disputes into public view on an unprecedented scale now. For them, that remains one of the biggest obstacles to rebuilding trust today. According to critics, why does there seem to be such a loud push for reconciliation through media talk, back channels, and public chatter? Now their answer is simple. Money commentators who take this view argue that financial pressures may be driving a renewed focus on family ties and royal relationships behind the scenes. Increasingly, according to them, allegedly, these critics point to reports of changing business partnerships, shifting media deals, and doubts about long-term revenue streams. They argue that maintaining a high-profile lifestyle in Montecito comes with huge costs and that several once prominent projects have either ended or quietly evolved over time. Some also highlight reports of staff reductions and shifts in the couple's professional ventures as signs that priorities may be quietly shifting behind the scenes. Others point to speculation about speaking deals, business opportunities, and Harry's reported link to BetterUp. They argue the landscape looks very different from a few years ago and claim that some wealthy supporters and high-profile connections may not be as closely involved as they once were. Now, whether those claims are accurate or not, they continue fueling debate about the couple's future direction still. Critics claim Harry may also be considering the monarchy's future and what shifts might arrive with a new reign ahead behind closed doors. They suggest that when William eventually becomes king, he will hold far greater influence over royal affairs, including matters tied to titles, roles, and family relationships. According to these commentators, this uncertainty remains a major source of concern and speculation. Critics say this is not just about losing a brother, but about losing access to the institution entirely itself now. They point out that Harry has previously described William as trapped by royal life and compared the monarchy to the Truman Show. That is why some commentators question the apparent desire for renewed access and closer ties. Their argument is that royal life also brought significant privileges, public status, security arrangements, and financial benefits, making the situation far more complex than a simple family disagreement overall. Critics argue that if Harry's circumstances were entirely different today, the reconciliation conversation might look very different too now. Some commentators question whether he would be seeking closer ties with the royal family if his projects were generating the same level of success and public enthusiasm they once did. In their view, that is one reason Catherine is reportedly reluctant to get involved. They frame it not as spite, but as a matter of trust and clear judgment. Supporters of this perspective also point to several recent public appearances that they believe lacked the excitement and attention seen in earlier years. They highlight events where crowd sizes, media coverage, or public interest became talking points online, fueling speculation about the couple's current standing. Fair-minded observers note that attendance figures and isolated photos rarely tell the full story, but the images still sparked plenty of discussion. Harry's personal life has also become the subject of constant commentary. Critics often portray him as increasingly isolated, pointing to moments at public events where he appeared apart from larger groups. Whether that perception is accurate or not, it has become a recurring theme in discussions about his future and his relationship with the royal family. Critics point to moments where Harry and Meghan Markle have appeared separately at public events and argue it reflects changing dynamics around the couple. One example frequently mentioned is Harry attending Jose Andrés' event on his own, which fueled fresh speculation about their public image and future plans. Whether those conclusions are justified or not, the appearances generated plenty of discussion and media attention. At the same time, reports suggest that tensions within the royal family continue to be a major issue. Tom Sykes reported that William is said to believe Charles has been too willing to leave the door open, drawing comparisons to past royal family controversies. According to those reports, William views the accusations and public disputes involving Catherine as deeply serious and remains firm in his position. Sources cited by commentators describe that stance as unwavering and unlikely to change anytime soon. Sources have described William as saying he marches to the beat of his own drum. Nobody can persuade him to do anything he does not want to do. This portrayal has been cited repeatedly by commentators discussing the ongoing royal family dispute. According to these reports, William remains unwilling to pursue reconciliation at this time because he has not moved past what he sees as years of betrayal and damaged trust. Meanwhile, Paula Froelich reported that Charles is not expected to meet with Harry during the summer, adding another setback to hopes of improving family relations. Critics argue that Harry's upcoming involvement with Invictus-related events in Birmingham remains one of the few key reasons for his current visit to the UK, allegedly right now. Some commentators dismiss the trip as largely symbolic and suggest part of the motivation could be hope of reconnecting with family members while he is there reportedly now. However, those same observers remain skeptical that any meaningful meeting will take place. Others argue focus on titles misses the bigger picture entirely completely. Rather than expecting formal action, they argue the more likely outcome is continued distance and limited engagement instead. In their view, titles can remain in place while relationships grow increasingly detached and public acknowledgement becomes less frequent. Some commentators have drawn historical comparisons to other royal figures who retained their titles but remained largely outside the core workings of the monarchy itself. According to this perspective, Harry was warned about certain boundaries before stepping away from royal duties. Critics argue that many of those lines were later crossed through interviews, documentaries, and public disputes, leaving the family divide deeper than ever. Critics argue that Harry was warned about certain boundaries before stepping away from royal duties, and that the consequences were explained clearly from the beginning. In their view, many of those lines were later crossed through interviews, books, documentaries, and public disputes, leading to an even deeper divide between him and the institution he left behind. Those commentators also claim that many of the connections and sources of influence he once relied on have faded over time. From their perspective, this is no longer a temporary setback or a rough patch. It represents a situation they believe has reached a dead end. Critics argue that the situation involving Meghan Markle's family raises additional questions about reconciliation and forgiveness. They point out that her public messaging has often included themes of healing, family, and moving forward, while her relationship with certain relatives has remained strained and largely unresolved for years. Commentators also note the ongoing circumstances involving Thomas Markle, including reports about his recent health challenges. They argue that the continued distance between family members has become another highly debated aspect of the broader public discussions surrounding Harry and Meghan Markle. Critics have continued to scrutinize Meghan Markle's relationship with her father and the controversies that surrounded the period before her wedding. Some commentators point to the well-known paparazzi photo dispute and argue that later media appearances and photography arrangements raised questions about consistency. These claims remain heavily debated, with different sides offering very different interpretations of what actually happened. Others have focused on reports involving social media personalities and promotional products, arguing that certain decisions sent the wrong message during a time when Catherine was dealing with serious health challenges. Critics contend that public figures should be especially careful about any perceived association with individuals who engage in personal attacks or inflammatory online behavior. Supporters, however, argue that such connections are often overstated or misunderstood. The broader criticism centers on what opponents see as a gap between public messaging about compassion, forgiveness, and family relationships, and the reality of ongoing family disputes. They argue that these unresolved issues make it difficult for some people to accept calls for reconciliation at face value. As a result, the debate continues to generate strong reactions from both supporters and critics alike. Catherine is reportedly not conflicted over Harry anymore now. According to sources and commentators, she is fully certain about her position now. Her priority is her family, her children, and protecting stability of her home life above everything else still. From this perspective, the decision has already been made. The boundaries have been set, and there is little expectation that her position will change anytime soon. As for the ending, it turns into a classic video outro inviting viewers to share opinions like subscribe and watch more related content on screen now.